It is prediction season, of course, everyone, and it's talking season, but we're just about ready to kick it off both in the NFL and in college football. We got Taylor Mathis on the line from betkarma.com. We're going to talk some NFL futures and going to talk about her beloved Iowa Hawkeyes as well. Hey, Taylor, how you doing?
Hi, I am great. How are you?
I'm doing great. We appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Hawkeyes first before we get to all that NFL stuff.
Let's talk about the Hawkeyes.
You know, people look down across the country. I could possibly name some like nationally known people that talk a little bit down about Iowa football.
I know. I feel like Iowa football every year, is kind of sometimes overprojected, or people think that they're overrated most of the time. Going into this year, we're coming in ranked 18th. I think that's our highest preseason ranking since like 2016. So that's looking pretty good for the Hawkeyes so far. But there's obviously a huge debate this year. Is Iowa going to be better than Iowa State, or is Iowa State better than Iowa?
Yeah, that's an argument we didn't used to have because the Cyclones were awful. And they would kind of jump up and surprise you and pull off an upset once in a while. But Iowa was always the better team.
Right.
And, of course, Matt Campbell's doing a heck of a job there at Iowa State. So give us a little inside feel into what that rivalry's like.
Oh, my gosh. So obviously going to Iowa, and I kind of sort of grew up in that rivalry as well. My dad is from Muscatine, Iowa, which is a small town about 40 minutes away from Iowa City. So half my family went to Iowa State and like half my family went to Iowa. So it's kind of a family rivalry too. It is one of the coolest rivalries ever. And I feel like people who haven't been to Iowa or aren't from the Midwest don't understand how seriously people from these states take college football, because we don't have pro teams to pay attention to. So college football is all they have. Tailgating is a blast, of course, such a good time. And then being a part of that rivalry, of course, like you said, most of the time Iowa's going to win. Occasionally Iowa State throws in an upset here or there every year. But being a Hawkeye myself, it's like we're always on the upside of that rivalry majority of the time. It's very fun. People get super into it, very crazy. And of course, it's always packed in Ames or Iowa City because they're only about an hour and a half away from each other. So both cities are absolutely nuts. It's a great rivalry in sports.
And the stakes are going to be really high this year. Hopefully, Iowa can win that week one game. It's a big one against Indiana in the Big Ten, so they can't look past that, of course, in some respects. I don't know. Maybe you can answer this question for me. What's a bigger game? Indiana, it's a Big Ten game, but then Iowa State's the rivalry game.
So I would say this season, I think Iowa State is the bigger game. One, they're going into things ranked 8th, which in my mind in the coaches poll means that the coaches think that there's the potential that Iowa State could beat Oklahoma at number 3. So I think you're looking at Iowa State being the better team over Indiana. I also think Indiana is overranked coming in at 17. Reason being, I'm like, they haven't finished in the top 25, I think like one time in almost 30 years. So I feel like they're overprojected based on how well they did last season. So I would say the bigger game possibly could be Iowa State, because for the future of the season could be a huge resume builder for Iowa if they're able to beat them. So I'm going to go with Iowa State, plus the rivalry adds even more excitement to it.
Yeah, we got Taylor Mathis on the line from betkarma.com. Check out what they've got available there. And if people just go to your Twitter handle, Twitter feed, what are they going to find there?
So Twitter, TMath11792. I'm pretty much giving daily prop picks, video content, as well as you'll find links to my sports podcast called Brunch and Ball, which you can find on Apple and Spotify, as well as the show I do with Bet Karma called Plus Money Podcast as well. We're starting that up for NFL season. Right now, we're obviously kind of looking at the preseason, what we have for future picks, things like that. So you'll find all of that on my Twitter, as well as, I guess, my own fun, interesting content that I throw in there too.
All right, Taylor, we appreciate you stopping by. Rooting for the Hawkeyes. Two really tough ones out of the gate.
Yeah.
Indiana, Iowa State. If they clear those, wow, they might have a big season. Their over under, by the way, is 8.5.
Yes, it is. I actually was just looking at that. I lived in Nebraska and covered the Huskers for a while too. So I was looking at them and I'm like, they just want to get to a bowl game for the first time under Scott Frost, honestly.
Yeah.
But Iowa, I'm like, I think if we win those first two games, I think they hit the over for sure on it, but we'll see.
All right, Taylor. Thanks so much for stopping by to talk some football with us.
Thank you. Of course. Anytime.